Okay, here's some random pages I found for Chicken Impossible. Here we go. I was beginning to think that maybe this guy knew what he was talking about. I had dismissed Mrs. Poplar's self dismemberment as that of over enthusiastic gardening, but perhaps there was more. I sensed the day laborer next to us had been listening to our conversation while stirring a carrot juice with a finger that appeared to be missing the first knuckle, and consequently any fingernail. Let's get out of here, I said. We ducked into the alley behind the nursery and sat cross-legged on a half-loaded on a pallet, half-loaded with rolls of sod. I smirked as I couldn't dismiss the similarity of the smell of Hawthorne's breath. What? He asked as he began laying out pieces of paper with writing all over them atop the damp sod. Nothing, I mused as I lit a cigarette. Smoke? I gave it up. He looked at me with sooty face, still sooty face, appearing menacing in the darkened alley. You ought to think about doing the same. Yeah, so says you. I crossed my arms indignant. Never mind, let's get down to business. Hawthorne explained how, after her release from California Correctional Facility for Women, Lady Poplar, as she's known on the inside, opened a benign-appearing flower stand in the financial district directly across the street from the Guatemalan embassy. Witnesses placed her at several landscaping conventions, passing out flyers in the parking lot, soliciting orchid growers, both professional and hobbyists. After conning approximately 115 eager green thumbs, she swindled them out of a collective $14 million. Some investment scheme involving edible insecticide. It was widely believed that she'd used the money to bankroll, I should wear glasses, an illegal tomato hybrid ring out of Guatemala. That's incredulous, I balked. Everyone knows that the Poplar family is composed of a long line of chicken ranchers. For Pete's sake, they've had chicken ranches on the land that is now most of downtown. What could chicken ranchers want with hybrid tomatoes? Hawthorne had paused, lips parted, resigned to wait for me to have my venting session. I squinted at him in the silver light of a splintered moon. You are serious, aren't you? I agreed to wear wire the next time I went to visit 94-year-old Mrs. Poplar. The following morning, I stopped in at the library. Heather in archives heaved herself up from the chair she was sitting in and lumbered toward the information desk, wearing the identical pair of green slacks and floral print shirt she's worn since I first laid eyes on her 11 years ago. If I blurred my eyes on purpose, I could almost take myself back to the way she looked when we met. She had grown up a bit, and she had given up a job in an interior plant counseling firm in Manhattan to work in the periodicals. The hustle and bustle of plant counseling, or horde analysis as it's known in the big city, proved too much. Her only visible link with her past was the filthy garden theme outfit she wore constantly. Hey, Jenny, she whispered. Ain't seen you in a growing season. How's the crepe myrtle doing? Her smile revealed a perfect set of teeth except for the missing right bicuspid. Get rid of that nasty mildew? You were right, I confessed with a forced grin. I should have gotten the hybrid. She merely clicked the ballpoint pen she was holding in response. What can I do for ya? She smelled of newsprint and ink. Close up, her eyes were raccoon-like, the shadows beneath them tangled. I need some information about the Poplar family. She pinched her mouth in a response and squinted. The Poplar family? The Poplar Chicken Ranch fortune? What's your interest? She asked, raising her right drawn-on eyebrow. Professional or personal? Well, I'm not sure yet, I said. I can't really speculate right now. There's too much at risk. I could see she wanted to learn more from me. She was that kind of woman. She thrived on hearing the worst or the best of any situation. Blood and gore, champagne and caviar. She devoured information like a junkie uses smack. All right, I whispered. I glanced around the immediate area. Behind me, a man in a dark suit held an attaché while reading a Sunset magazine. I couldn't be sure, but he appeared to be listening to something wired into his ear. Is there a place we can go? I jerked my head in the direction of the periodicals. Sensing the secret urgency in my suggestion, Heather immediately assumed the suspiciously alert persona of an international spy. She hunched over and exaggeratedly tiptoed toward an issue of McCall's from the 1950s. Oh, God, I'm so blind. From either side of the aisle, while feigning a perusal of a Look magazine from 1959, I explained that out of the side of my mouth that old Mrs. Popular's rap sheet. Heather parted the books in response, separating our faces. I could have told you that, darling. She replaced the McCalls to its original place. A knowing smile, mixed with a look of pain, settled into her eyes. She wiped her hands on the tattered apron she must have bought in the same time she got the ensemble. I once dated Jeremiah Poplar, the eldest great-great-great-great-grandson of the great Edward Chicken Neck Poplar. The same great Edward Chicken Neck Poplar who founded the last chicken ranch in Marin Valley in 1788. I reckon the first chicken ranch in California. She squinted up at me with a kind of pride I hadn't seen in her before, the kind I wasn't sure still existed. She took my arm and held my gaze. Excuse me. Oh, my God. She's a smart woman, that Miss Poplar. She didn't kill 3 husbands and get away with it for nothing. She looked left and right and quickly before going on. Some think she was testing out her tomatoes on them. They used to show up in the fields looking very green and veiny, like an unripe tomato. But I mean literally, like an unripe tomato. The field workers were feared reprisal from the old lady Poplar, so they said nothing, and each husband's head ripened throughout the day. The repeated stress on the cerebral capillaries eventually caused them to burst, resulting in death and rendering the head almost identical to a vine-ripened tomato. She looked up from the file drawer she was fingering to gauge my expression. Her words blended a grotesque gazpacho of intrigue. I just couldn't see the connection of the self-mutilation. It went without saying Mrs. Poplar wasn't going to give me a hand. Look, it's not safe here, she whispered, tiptoeing to her desk. People see someone the likes of you speaking with someone the likes of me. They can look twice. We don't need no publicity, you know. She winked again and began unwrapping a rocky road. I looked at her seated at her desk. She was misting a Boston fern hanging over her computer and chewing. Did you say we? You need my help. It's obvious. I have information. It was difficult to understand her now. She tried to breathe through her nose and talk and eat. I want to catch the madman as much as you do. She was obviously chewing feverishly now and not even swallowing. I can't risk her getting hurt. I knew I should have never told her anything, but she was getting old and too much withheld information could kill her. Look, I get off at 7. She took a labored breath. I'll meet you at the nursery after. We can have a drink and walk over to Good Earth for dinner. Her eyebrows lifted, revealing the white tissue of her eyelids, where ink had not yet settled between the folds. I'll bring that information. I can dig it up in the meantime. She coughed, pointing at the rocky road at me like a gun. Okay, Heather, you win. I held my hands up in mock protest. She fired anyway. But I have something I need to do beforehand. I can meet you at 9, no sooner. She seemed to be having trouble swallowing, after shoving most of the rocky road into her mouth. Bubbles grew and shrank from her nose as she struggled for breath. Are you all right? I rushed over to her. She held up her open hand toward me and swallowed hard. Then, throwing her head back, she audibly sucked in air and coughed as if she had been drowning. Yeah, I'm fine. She nodded slowly, wiping her nose with the end of her apron, her jaw set with something like resolve in her eyes.